So it all started with just 5 minutes of gratitude. So every morning I drink a glass of water, I use my healing peptides, I drop into breath work, I meditate, and then I dance it out before making a protein smoothie. Why am I telling you this? Because rituals change us. They don't have to be big or complicated. I literally started my morning routine with 5 minutes of gratitude. It didn't need to evolve, but it evolved over time. So, this is exactly what we're talking about today on the show, rituals for renewal, how the smallest actions, like lighting a candle or taking a few deep breaths, can become portals for transformation. Joining me today is Aeon Archer. He's the visionary behind SpiritSync Technologies, and he's here to help us explore how intention turns repetition into awakening in these rituals for renewal. It's good to have you back. You're
I'm
in
happy to be back.
Mexico. Yes, you haven't
Yes.
traveled all day, and so you've got lots of energy today.
Yes. Always lots of energy. It's because of those rituals.
Those rituals. So, when you describe rituals as doorways to renewal, what does that mean? And why do you think rituals are so important?
So I just want to make a distinction here between a ritual and a habit. For me,
Okay, that's a good
rituals,
point. Yeah.
so rituals are the art of bringing meaning into motion, where everyday actions become sacred. There's a difference between like mystical ceremony and daily ritual. Habit is like repetition without awareness, but ritual is repetition infused with intention. And when we put an intention into something, we're giving it meaning, we're giving it purpose, we are deciding that it matters. And it's that very act of putting intention into small daily acts that turn that habit into a ritual. And when we give something meaning, it rewires our brain because it changes the chemical signature of our thoughts and it causes the neurons to fire in a more coherent way.
Right. So a routine in my past would have been like driving to work because I remember getting to work and not even remembering how I drove there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd like literally had no brain, like my brain was off.
And that's the risk with that's the risk of our routines. When a routine, when you have that experience of, let's say you get off work and you wanted to stop at the grocery store before you got home, but all of a sudden you find yourself sitting in your driveway having forgot to go to the grocery store.
I
That
know that's
routine has
happened to me
now
so many
turned,
times.
and it happens to a lot of us, but that means that that routine has turned into a habit. And habits
Mm.
are automatic neurochemistry. It's the circuitry that just goes. It's kind of, we decide to take a back seat, which when we have a stressful day is really easy to do. We create these habits in our brain because it's efficient. The brain is designed for efficiency. And so it's in that efficient state when we take a back seat that we're just allowing the brain to do all of the work and we're not really present for it. And so it loses its meaning. And then what happens
Mm.
is we start to feel like life is meaningless because our life is built on all of these habits that we're not even participating in. And so
Right.
we
It's
can
like Groundhog
even if
Day.
right, and even if we don't even change what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, but if we do it with intention in a ritualistic way, giving it meaning moment by moment, we can be doing the same things and feel full from them as to where we were doing the same thing yesterday feeling empty.
Mm. I got it. So how would you add meaning to a drive to work? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, one way you can add meaning to a drive to work is you can take a round and you can look at the weather. Is the sun coming up? Is it beautiful sunrise? Is it a beautiful sunset? You can take a different path and check out the architecture on your drive. Sometimes I like to drive through really expensive neighborhoods and imagine I'm living in one of those mansions. It gives it meaning. It creates a vision for myself because those homes are gorgeous. Or I'll call somebody that I love and appreciate while I'm on the phone with them, and then I'm giving that drive meaning. I'm giving it more purpose. Or I'll breathe. That's one of the things I really like to do when I'm sitting in traffic. Instead of using the traffic as a way to feel irritated, aggravated, I take a moment every time I have to hit the brakes and I breathe. I just take a deep breath
Mm.
in and exhale. And it's a perfect time because all we're doing is sitting in the car is to breathe and to pay attention to our breath as we're driving.
Yeah, it's so easy to get worked up in traffic. I find. It is so easy to like everybody's a moron. I don't know. I do not want to be sitting here at this red light. Why can't this person go already? Like it's so easy to get caught up in that.
Well, and another way to bring some intention into your day when you're driving is let someone else off and let someone in front of you. Be of service to the other drivers. Let
Okay.
someone cross the street. Like find a way to be extra kind. And sometimes when I get cut off in the traffic, I just go, bless you. I just like instead of saying the
Yeah.
other word, which often used to come off my mouth, I just look at them and I bless them. And I'll also play this game with myself where I imagine I'm that other person, and I imagine why they're rushing. There's a reason maybe
Right.
why they are rushing. There's something important that they got to get to. Maybe there's an appointment that they're late to, which I can relate to having been late to many appointments and trying to rush through traffic. And there's a reason, and every single person in every single car has a story. And,
Yeah.
and and every single person in every single car has meaning, things that they care about. I imagine like they must be a daughter, a son, a mother, a grandparent. And I imagine all of the love that's in their life and all of the people that love them. And that shifts my entire perspective of my drive home from work.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And even if it's just they're having a bad day, what do you think about this? Because I remember driving with someone and they got really, really mad when they let someone in, but that person didn't wave. And to me, I was like, well, you're doing a good service by letting them in. And if you're expecting a wave, then you're setting yourself up for disaster because, like, they don't really owe you anything. I mean, it's the kind thing to do. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's this really great verse. I can't quote it exactly in the Bhagavad Gita that says, you do your work without the expectation of the result. And so we do good work simply because that's who we are. And
Yeah,
sometimes it takes time to cultivate a relationship with that part of ourselves. We don't do good work to get a wave back or to get acknowledged. We do it because it makes us feel good to be of service. And when we start to like tap into that feeling, that sensation, it makes it a lot easier to carry that into other areas of our life.
right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A few times I've been like smiling and I'm like, F you kind of thing, and like letting them in and and I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, you fucker.
Right. Now I'm gonna have to wait at this red light because I let you in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh my God. So you talk about the science behind ritual, neuroplasticity patterning, energy alignment. How does repeating a ritual actually rewire the brain?
So as I was saying earlier, you know, neurons. I think Dr. Joe Dispenza says this. It's really great. Is neurons that fire together wire together, and so the what makes it so powerful is when you feel something. Our emotions have a really strong impact on how our brains wire itself. If we're in a state of fear, our brain will remember that moment because it was so impactful that it will burn it into our neurons. So that way, if like
Yeah,
we sense that something like that will happen again, we're going to automatically go on alert. And so the act of having rituals, things that we do with intention, and when we return to that on a daily basis, and we do that ritual frequently with the intention and the meaning behind it, we're actually becoming an active participant in how our brains are becoming wired. We're no longer just letting the world wire our brain for us, but we're participating in the act of wiring our brains for ourselves. And as the brain, I always compare the brain to a stained glass window. And so you create this beautiful image on this in glass, and you put it on a window, and the sun shines through the stained glass window, projecting this image onto the floor, and it's gorgeous. Now, the act of doing ritual with intention and with emotion, you are now the glass worker. You are creating the stained glass window. You're deciding what that image is going to look like, what colors are used. Ultimately, the end result is in your hands. You're no longer a victim to the world, but an active participant in your own becoming. And so then when you're done, the sun hits that stained glass window and projects the image of the life that you desired because you are an active participant in creating that.
right. So can you give us like what are your rituals or how did you start this process?
So, I mean, rituals are a huge part of my life, and I really there are times where For example, my morning practice, I get up every morning about 4:30 and I come outside and I sit on the balcony with the ocean in front of me and it's quiet. The roosters haven't started roostering yet. and and I just sit there and my mind is already quiet from the day from having slept and just woken up. And I just sit there in silence and I just become aware of what comes up first. And I give myself a lot of love and a lot of compassion and patience. And I try to start my day from that place. So that way, as I move throughout my day and things come up, either emotionally or challenges in life, that I'm already like operating from this place of compassion and grace. And then I go into hatha yoga, not hatha, but I do hatha yoga at night. I do Kundalini yoga in the morning, which is a lot of fire breathing and heart chops, and all of those things. When we're doing those motions, when we're doing yoga, we're so present with our body and we're feeling and we're allowing our feelings to flow through us. And we're just having this moment. And so what I do when I'm in yoga, whatever body part is challenged in that moment or the tension or I feel the tightness is I send love and appreciation. And I think of all of the miles my legs have walked, all of the keys my fingers have stroked, and I give them gratitude. Another thing I do a lot is at the gym. This is one of my favorite things to do. And I had to learn this because I had body dysmorphia as a child. I had this huge self-image issue about myself. I thought I was fat. There's a whole story behind that. And, years ago, it was about 8 years ago, I was going to the gym religiously and I was seeing absolutely no results. And I went to the gym for 2 years. And every time I went to the gym, I would be like getting looking side glances at all the really hot people in the gym. And I was just like rumbling under my breath, just jealous of the fact that they looked so good and I didn't. And that was the energy that I took with me every time I went to the gym. And I got this
Right.
idea
Like you're setting yourself up for failure before you even got there.
absolutely. And so I decided to do an experiment. Well, I was sitting in a bubble bath one day and I decided
Nice.
to do an experiment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to imagine all of the hard work that they put in to their body and I'm going to love them. And then I'm going to have a conversation with whatever body part I'm working on and I'm going to send them love. And so before I start any workout, I get down on my knees or I sit, in Sukhasana. And one of the images I use most is my grandmother. She's now passed, but I love her so much and she loved me so much. We shared a really special love. And so I'll bring the image of her into my mind and then the sensation of the love that we shared into my heart. And I look crazy because I'm the only person in the gym meditating, but I don't mind. and so and what I'll do is I'll let the image of her dissolve, but I'll hold the frequency and the feeling of the love we shared in my heart. And I'll
Mm,
slowly expand it out into my entire body. And I'll imagine like every cell, every capillary, every vein, every artery. And it's just like with my heart pumps, it's expanding to my entire body. And I do my workout in that frequency. And within 2 weeks, I started to see results.
wow. So it was an shift in energy.
Oh, 100%.
And so
And so when I do that
what did the
ritual,
hot people look like to you after that?
still hot.
That's
But
fair. That's fair.
I started to see myself as hot, well, as attractive also. And then it just changed the whole relationship that I have with myself. And I really do think that the way we see ourselves, the body responds to that and begins to like take on the form of how we see ourselves. And
Yeah.
so, but like that is the perfect example of a ritual because what I'm doing is I'm doing this practice every time I go to the gym and I'm pulling in emotion with intention. And my intention is to give myself the same love that my grandmother gave me. And I'm giving it to every cell in my body. And so
Right.
I'm rewiring my mind and I'm rewiring my body's relationship to itself with that ritual.
Right. So for some of the listeners that might be new to this, what are a few easy rituals that they could start doing today?
Well, so a really great ritual, doing the dishes. Whenever you're doing the dish,
What? No, I'm just
doing the
kidding.
dish, yeah, I know, right? They're doing the dishes can be a great opportunity to pull in intention. And so I'm not a big fan of doing the dishes either. And even when I don't want to do them, I check myself at the door of the dishes. When I get to the sink, I check my attitude first. I check myself. Okay, like I know I don't want to do this right now, but what state of being am I in okay, how can I turn this, how can I shift this into a ritual? How can I shift this into an act of intention and an act of gratitude? And so the whole time I'm washing dishes, I'm experiencing gratefulness, gratitude for my partner who just made an amazing meal, for the
Right.
fact that I have plates right here to wash that I just ate from, that I just ate this amazing meal that was provided by the Earth Mother on these plates that was also provided by the Earth Mother. Look at all of the things in the abundance she has provided us. And then I'll bring into my mind the intelligence that it was required to create that plate. Because, you know, when I look around the world, what I see is every city is a city because of people who love what they do. There's a plate
Right.
on my table because somebody who loved to do what they do, and they did it, and it created a plate. There's a table because somebody loved doing what they do. Like all of the things that we have in our world that we use on a daily basis, on a regular basis, roads that we drive on, everything around us comes from this place of people who love to do what they do, and we do it together. And it creates this beautiful world that we live in. And then by pulling in these awarenesses, by the time I'm done, like doing the dishes are done before I even realize it. And I've just had this
Right.
really great time imagining all of the love that it took for me to get there, to sit down at the sink, to wash the dishes in the first place.
I love that. And it's crazy how we make like a mountain out of like a little thing. I had like a small pile of laundry in my room and I left it there and I was like, I'm not doing it. I just avoided it for so long. And one day I'm like, okay, Urbanski, you have to put this laundry away. It literally took me 10 minutes. 10 minutes. But in my mind, I was thinking, this is going to take me hours. I don't want to do it. And it was literally 10 minutes.
And then immediately it cleared up like the flow. The flow just
Yeah.
it becomes more fluid.
And then the 2 hours that I had blocked out to put my laundry away, suddenly I had time to clean the other rooms in my space. So, but yeah,
The
we
next
take
thing you
for
know is
granted
spotless,
every little thing. What's that?
right? So the next thing it was spotless.
Everything was spotless. And I was like, I did good. I did good. But it was like the working up to that. Like we just, everything, like our minds can take us down a rabbit hole.
Oh, that's for sure, without doubt.
Yeah. And we always forget about the simple things, like you said, like how did I even get this plate? Like why do I even deserve this plate? And who made this plate? And yeah, I
And
love
then
that.
all of the intelligence that's required to come up with the machines that create it, you know, like there's so many things and so many hands involved, like before we even get to the end destination of anything that's around us. And you know, I realized when I realized the thing about the city, I went on a hike. I was in Los Angeles and I went on a hike to Griffith Park Observatory, and it can be a little bit of a strenuous hike when you're all the way down in the canyon and you walk up. It takes a few hours. And when I got to the top, it was beautiful and amazing. And the air was so fresh and I could breathe. It was just incredible. And the sun was like this enormous orange orb, just barely touching the horizon. And then as it dropped below the horizon, I looked out into the city and I was like, this is incredible. Like there's like people who live in Los Angeles love Los Angeles, you know, and it was people who built these buildings love being an architect. You know, the people who are traffic engineers who figure out how to route all this traffic. They love what they do, and most people wouldn't do it. And so it's just incredible. There's so many odd, weird, strange jobs of people who really truly love what they do, that brings all of this together, and we do it collectively. Like there wouldn't be a city if we didn't work together to create one as magnificent as Los Angeles or New York or any major city. It takes all of us collectively have contributed our love to that becoming a reality.
Yeah, that's so true. So you talk about the elements, earth, water, fire, and air as living allies. Can you walk us through how each one helps us with grounding, clearing, or balancing energy?
So, as at Merkaba retreats, we do a lot of rituals. One of the things that I do before we ever have a retreat is I go out on my hands and knees and I sing mantra with a bucket of water and I wipe the entire terrace by hand. And what I'm doing, that's a ritual for me because like I'm with the intention of clearing the space, with the intention of holding this space as sacred. And water holds vibration, water holds memory, water holds emotion. And the whole purpose of our retreats is for people to like connect with their emotional being, to unite all the aspects of themselves so they can come home fully to who they are. And so I'll start with water because water is very cleansing. And there's many ways we can incorporate water in a ritualistic sense. And also water holds vibration. And so for me, one of the things I love doing for people when we host retreats in other places, I'll usually get like a really fabulous Airbnb with a nice big bathtub. And I'm the ritual bath drawer. Like I draw ritual baths for folks. And I intuitively kind of sense like what crystals they need. I sense what essential oils, I just by our interactions, I kind of get a feel for it. And then I put candles and it's like a magic bath. And so, and then the mantras will be playing, and the vibration is like ringing in the water. And it's so cool because people will go in and when they come out, they're just like glowing because they just had this incredible moment with themselves in this really special sacred space that, I put my love and intention into, and my feeling and my hopes and the things I hope for them to achieve. And so, our intentions and our rituals, they don't only affect us, but they can affect others and how we engage with them. And then the earth, I'm going to bring the earth in here because everything that we get to enjoy, the fact that we even have bodies to enjoy them with, comes from the earth mother. And so one of my favorite rituals, and I experienced this when I was in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 5.5 years. And for 5 years, I didn't step foot on like my bare feet in the grass. I was always wearing shoes, like on concrete, sidewalks, asphalt. And one day I was like, it was finally spring after a really long winter. Chicago winters can be tough. And there was grass outside of my apartment complex. And I was like, so I took my shoes off and my socks and I stepped on the earth for the first time in 5.5 years. And the experience was palpable. Like just like this coolness washed over me and this anxiety and this tension in my body just kind of like, it was weird. It kind of felt like it was just draining out of my feet from my head down to my toes. And so just going out there with the intention of connecting to the earth mother with the like just holding in your heart the love and appreciation you have for being alive. Like that's what makes a ritual is the intention that you have when you do any act, whatever it may be, whether it's walking your kids to school, drawing a bath. I'm drawing this bath to give myself sacred space. That intention alone turns that act of turning the faucets on into a sacred ritual. And then fire. I've experienced fire a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm interested in what you do with fire.
And so we always have candles. We pull every element into our retreat. So there's water, candles for the fire, the earth. We'll have, we have tons of plants on our patio to pull in the earth energy. And then the air is mantra, singing, voice, truth. But fire is really special because most people run from the fire. They don't want to be in that sacred heat that really transmutes us into who we are. But the fire is what burns away what no longer serves us. When you think of it in a spiritual terms, it's what once fire, it turns it into what it really is. And so all of the crap and all of the BS that we tell ourselves and all of the lies and all of these expectations that we think others have of us, when we step into the fire of transformation, what happens is all of that stuff burns away. And then we stand at the core of who we really are. And we're finally able to see our own personal truth and then build from there. That's what, the phoenix, building from the ashes, to build from that place after everything else is burnt down, that really is not serving the highest purpose of our soul or our destinies or our life path, is a really powerful thing.
Yeah,
and then air
like
for me.
The forest has to burn down. Like the forest burns down and then it grows back 10 times stronger. You know what I mean? Like when there's a forest fire, all of that like burns to the ground, but then like there's a huge transformation after. And I want to say one thing about the water. I love how you said that water holds vibration because I want the audience to realize that we are mostly made up of water. So the body is holding on to so much vibration, so much vibration.
I completely agree. And we do gong bath here as a part of our retreats. And I'm really lucky because Christopher gives me a gong bath every morning, so I get a gong bath a day, which is really nice. But there's so much power in sound to just release all of these emotions and stuff that we store in our fascia and in our bodies. And so sound is super powerful. That's why, when you pair air and water together, it's really nice to pair some of these elements together. We usually call in all four. So if you can find a way to incorporate all four into your daily life, even in the smallest way, it really starts to ground us and allow us to fully express ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. And emotions should be sent down to the earth. They shouldn't be brought up. People always say, I've got emotions bubbling up, but then you got to send them back down into the earth
Mm-hmm.
in order
And
to
walking
ground.
barefoot in the grass or barefoot on the beach, or we have the ocean here, so we're really lucky. So we just go down to take a
Yeah.
dip in the ocean, and everything just washes away, and I just float there and breathe, and it's like, oh, I'm free. And it's amazing how much better you feel just 15 minutes in the water. It's incredible. And if we don't go to the ocean, we have a pool, so the pool is a really great place. Like we go down there to ground all the time.
Nice. I hugged a tree for like 10 minutes when I first was getting into energy work and I couldn't stop hugging the tree because I literally felt the electricity from it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like we were one. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, like this is powerful. Like being in nature is powerful. And for anybody out there, just don't set your apartments on fire. I was burning sage in my apartment and I set off the fire alarm on a Friday night at like midnight. It was the worst.
Yeah, make sure you're careful. Open your windows. Don't have any candles in your curtains. That's not a good
Yeah,
idea. Luckily for us in Mexico, everything's built of concrete.
yeah,
So we're kind of fortunate
yeah.
there.
Oh my gosh. So, do you have any closing thoughts? Tell us about your retreats and more about what you do.
So, what we do here at Merkaba Retreats is we offer non-medicine or earth medicine retreats that are customized to each individual where they're at on their journey, their comfort level with earth medicine. But we do have a really beautifully curated week-long retreat. It's all inclusive. It includes multiple Bufo ceremonies. Maybe we'll talk about Bufo as a form of 5 DMT, 5-MeO DMT. It's incredible. It's life. It's transformational. It's amazing. We also practice combo. Combo is from a toad in the Amazon jungle. It contains 9 peptides that naturally know how to work in the body. I'm not going to make any medical statements, but it has been known to cure a lot of things that are uncurable. And so it's just absolutely incredible. We do 3 combo sessions. And then we end the day before the last day of the retreat. We do a really beautiful mushroom ceremony that just is life changing. And we have multiple trips to the beach, really clean, amazing food, sacred, intentional rituals, a lot of really cool moments just to kind of collect, to journal, to be in your own space and your own energy. We do private retreats. We also do group retreats, family retreats, couples retreats. So we have a lot of options here. And so I'd be super excited to see all of you there at a retreat to have that experience.
Yeah, what is it like when you see someone coming in to when they leave? Like, have they gone through a major transformation?
Well, we take before and after pictures because it's so profound, and we want them to
Wow.
we want them to see the shift because it's incredible. They oftentimes come in, their skin is dim and gray, not like gray, I'm dying gray, but like you can tell like
Yeah.
some of the light has left it, and their shoulders are up to their ears, and their shoulders are hunched in, and they're just you can see the tension and the weight of the world and their lives and expectations just weighing down on them. Like they're trying to make themselves smaller because they feel like the weight of the world is too much. And when they leave, they're tall, their shoulders are back, their skin is glowing, their smile on their
Wow.
faces from ear to ear, and they're just so ready to like be an active participant in their life again. And the path for them has been made so clear. Like it's so cool because before when they get here, it's like they just don't know what to do. They feel lost and overwhelmed. And when they leave, they're like, I know exactly what I need to do. I know we set them up with aftercare. We set them up with we follow up Zoom calls to stay in touch with them to keep them engaged. We have a community on called Lumara. We have our own internet communities, kind of like spiritual Facebook, and so that way people can stay connected with each other and be on this journey together. Then we also have a Merkaba church temple service every Sunday, so they can stay connected with us and our wider spiritual community. And so, like when they come here, they come with all this weight, but they leave with an entire spiritual family that is just like here for them to walk with them, and it's just a blessing.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Where can people find out more information about it?
So if they would like to learn more about the retreats, they can go to www.merkaba, That's MERKABA retreats.com. They can learn more about our temple services at merkabachurch.com. They can also find all of our coaching services at www.archershaw.guru. That's Guru. You can find me on Instagram at Aeon Archer. You can find us in a lot of really great YouTube videos and all of our past temple services on YouTube at Archer Shaw Temple and LinkedIn, Aeon Archer.
Amazing. Well, this has been a really fun show. I love talking about rituals. Do you have any last minute thoughts that you want to leave the listeners with?
I see you. I bless you. We are all one. Om Namah Shivaya.
Mm. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom and for creating such a beautiful space for people to heal.
Thank you.
Yes. And to our audience, reach out to him and start your healing journey. You're not meant to suffer. And don't flip anybody off in traffic. Try and be nice. I'm going to try and be nicer myself. Take care, everyone.